All right, guys, so we're going to talk about the GRC Triad today. The GRC Triad is just like everything else. It's a framework used for specific use, in this case, for mitigating risk when it comes to an organization and its operations, while also making their operations more efficient. So we're going to go over the three components: G, governance; R, risk; and C, compliance. And we'll take a quick look at what those are and also give you insight into what each of these different components do on their jobs, as well as just the overall concept of GRC. So first, governance. If you want to go into governance, you're looking at policy, steps, and procedures that are used for an organization to achieve their business objectives. Just like the other components, is used to reduce risk and to mitigate any risk that does rear its ugly head. One of the main details when it comes to governance is that it's used to assign responsibilities to key people within an organization, primarily higher ups. So governance would assign certain responsibilities to people such as the board of directors, senior management, a CISO, or what's known as a Chief Information Security Officer, CISO, right? And other people like that, other executive board members and just executive leadership, right? So governance is very important when it comes to people in those type of positions, because then they end up being responsible for business practices, even for people below them that may be the reason why something bad happened. That person, that associate, or that manager can point their finger at senior leadership and say, don't talk to me, go talk to them. And that person in senior leadership may end up becoming the one that has to deal with legal trouble. They may have to do jail time and things like that. So it's very important when it comes to governance. Second is risk, the component that this pretty much all revolves around, or risk management. Risk management is about a company's ability to identify, quantify, and prioritize different risk factors and to resolve them when the time comes. So you need to have the ability to see something and to establish whether or not there's any risk in it. If so, how much risk? And is it just a little risky? Is it very risky? Okay, based on if it's very risky, if it's kind of risky, or if it's not risky at all, how do we prioritize resolving these issues and implementing what are called controls? So let's just touch on that real quick. Controls are basically solutions to these risk factors, right? So if you have, let's say, when it comes to physical security, like security guards and people like that, they're meant to mitigate risk in terms of who can just walk into the building or who can walk into a sector of a building all willy-nilly, because data and information can be confidential and can only be for your eyes only. So sometimes you need other human beings that specialize in physical security to deter people from even thinking about entering a building or entering an office space, because then if they get in trouble, then they may end up getting arrested and pay fines and things like that will happen. That's considered a security control, the person itself, the security guard themselves. You also have technical security controls, like if you're running an application. We kind of talked about this with Rust, but let's say you may have left a vulnerability in your code that if the major social media platforms all had an issue where all of a sudden so many user accounts were accessed all at the same time, and their personal information was stolen, their financial information was stolen, their credit or debit card information was stolen, it would be very bad. That's a vulnerability that would have higher priority than others and would need to be resolved right away if it's something that they came across. Risk management pertains, when it comes to documents, focuses on the risk management plan, which obviously covers the basis that we've already talked about: identifying vulnerabilities, prioritizing them, while quantifying them, severity. Is it super risky? Is it not very risky? Is it kind of risky, but not too bad, not too small though? And then resolving those issues. The last one would be compliance. Now, compliance pertains to following the laws of outside entities that basically establish rules on how the organization needs to behave. So when it comes to your business processes and how you do certain things, for example, if you're the type of organization that takes credit card information or debit card information from your customers when they make purchases, whether it's for certain software, whether it's for certain apps or in-app purchases, or if it's for concrete stuff such as clothing, right? And you make that exchange. If you're the type that allows debit card type transactions, then you need to follow what's called PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, right? Which is a rule that needs to be followed when it comes to having certain things in place so that the debit card information and the credit card information that you receive from your customers is not compromised. Everyone that uses debit card information like that needs to follow that standard. If they don't, you're basically saying, I don't care about protecting the financial information of my client base, So if their credit and debit card information gets stolen, it has nothing to do with me, except it does, because that information was given to you in order for you to make your sale and for your business to do well. So it is your responsibility to protect that information on behalf of the customer, right? So that's an example of compliance. Are you in compliant when it comes to PCI DSS standards, having certain technologies and things in place when it comes to how you achieve your business objectives so that the customers can make transactions with you without much of a worry in the world. If they can't, and we find out that you are not compliant with these rules, you are looking at legal issues, you're looking at fines, you're looking at losing trust in the public, losing trust from your customers. Once that word spreads, especially over social media like that, yeah, people aren't going to want to work with you like that anymore. They're not going to want to buy your stuff anymore because they know for a fact that your company name is tied to my money, my hard-earned money can be stolen. So no one in the right mind would be willing to do business with you from that point on. So you would have to be aligned with that standard. Speaking of standard, I think I may have used the wrong word there. So let's just go and clear this up. You want to understand the difference between policies, standards, and regulations. Policies are essentially self-imposed rules. They define how an organization wants to run by their own standards. So typical stuff, college, high school jobs, ice cream shop, retail, whatever the case is. And you've probably been told, hey, every time you come here, you need to wear this one of our 2 or 3 different colored shirts, or a shirt that has our branding on it. You need to have a hairnet when you're working with food. It's part of company policy. No one is legally saying that you need to do that. There won't be any legal backlash if there's hair in someone's food. But once that word spreads again, like on social media, because the customers won't like it, you have to cover that base. Otherwise, your brand and your company is going to be unfavorable pretty much from the get-go. So policies do not have any legal ramifications, but they do have ramifications on the brand of your business, assuming you don't do certain things, whether it's making your associates in your stores pretty much easy to detect off rip because they always have to wear, say, red shirts or certain type of hats, something with the company branding on it, which all impacts customer satisfaction. Because trust me, for those who haven't experienced it, most people have experienced that situation of, hey, where is everybody? Where are all the associates? And da da. And everyone's like in different sectors of the store doing their job. Part of that would affect that in terms of customer satisfaction is making your associates easy to find. That's why certain companies, they make you wear certain colors with the branding, things like that. And when you choose not to follow that, that's when you hear arguments for management saying it's not company policy for you to show up and wear a black shirt with regular jeans, this and that, with Nike shoes. Like you need to wear, if you're in the food environment, you need to wear shoes, special shoes that have good grip in wet environments, or you need to put, I forget what they're called, but you need to put like a little extra black thing on the bottom of your sneaker so that you don't fall, because if you do, you get injured, and that's can affect the company because you can sue them or something else, right? So that's policy. Policy are self-imposed rules that the company chooses to instill in terms of how they want to run things. Regulations are basically the laws that we talked about when it comes to compliance. So when you're talking about laws that outside entities try to enforce on you, those are regulations. If you don't follow those, there will be legal problems. Someone may end up doing jail or prison time. You may end up losing money, losing trust in, or rather the public will lose trust in your brand, things like that. These are all the things that could happen primarily as a result of you not following certain regulations. Again, when it comes to credit card information, when it comes to information about your client base, which might include trade secrets or other things from other companies that put their trust in your hands, put their confidential information in your hands, things like that. Those are all based on regulation. So you need to follow those if you don't want there to be any legal issues. Policies, you can get social issues, which you can lose business and then you may shut down. But regulations, you'll have legal issues which your company can shut down, but then on a personal level, you may end up being the one in a cell somewhere, and it's just a deeper problem from there. Last one is standards. Now, standards get mixed up with policies a lot. Remember that policies are self-imposed rules when it comes to how an organization does its business and how it governs itself. So my policies rather, when it comes to my daily routine, when it comes to what time in the morning do I wake up to go work out, how do I eat or what do I eat when I come back? Do I eat before I go work out and maybe wait like a half hour? When it comes even to my actual day-to-day work, how do I approach my work? How do I prioritize the work? How do I dish out the work, like divvy it up throughout the course of the day? I'm the type that likes to do 80% of my work up front, and then the rest of the 20%, I'll take my break late and do the other 20% if there's anything left to do at the tail end of the day. If not, then I'm kind of on cruise control for the rest of the day, right? And from there, I can do other stuff such as training that the company may offer, get additional information and training that way. That's beneficial to me, which if I bring it here, is beneficial to you as well. So when it comes to that, that's more policy. Now, when it comes to standards, standards are a little more detail oriented. Standards are not fixed. Standards are very dependent upon your environment. So, for example, I just got offered to move from contractor to full time. A lot of people in the tech world, this happens when you convert from a contractor to full time, get benefits, increase pay, yada yada yada, right? But one of the things about that, you may not necessarily stay on the team and under the same management that you were under before. So you may do the same job, you may inherit the same job title, but if you're moving to a different team and that team may be based in a different region or something like that, that actually could still lead to a pretty big change. So if you were working under one manager and their standards were a little more lax, and when you would review your work, there was never a problem. But then if you convert full time, you change teams, you change accounts, the standards may be much higher, they might be the same, they may be even lower, who knows? But you need to meet those new standards based on where they at pertaining to how you do your job, particularly, right? So policies, they're kind of big picture-esque again, kind of big picture in terms of how you do things and like the the things that allow you to run your business or to run yourself smoothly. But standards get nitty gritty in how you do something and measuring up to the standards of the ones that oversee things at that particular point in time. And that's pretty relatable when it comes to day-to-day management, shifting teams, one manager leaves, another one's hired, and next thing you know, the whole organization or the whole department changes in terms of how it runs because this person may be more lax, whereas the other one was more like a drill sergeant, right? So hopefully those differences were made clear. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video off here. Hope this was helpful for you. Have any feedback for me, go ahead and share that in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.